Welcome back to another explainer. Today we're doing something a bit different. We're going to look at something we all interact with literally every single day, but we almost never stop to actually analyze. I'm talking about a digital portal. Specifically, we've grabbed a standard 2026 web scrape of the American Association for the Advancement of Science's portal, science.org. Now, we aren't just going to scroll through this as a list of links or a simple search tool. Nope, we're treating this standard web page as a digital artifact. Just imagine anthropologists hundreds of years from now looking back at this exact digital snapshot to figure us out. It's like a giant puzzle. By breaking down the structure, the exact terms used, and the barriers built into this single page, we can uncover a deeply compelling story about how humanity organizes, prioritizes, and protects its absolute most cutting-edge scientific knowledge today.
Okay, let's dive into this, because our journey to the absolute frontier of human understanding begins with, well, a surprisingly abrupt stop. Imagine you're a top-tier researcher, or just a curious mind trying to track down the latest breakthrough in advanced physics, or some new development in targeted gene therapy. You arrive at the gateway of knowledge, totally ready to peer into the mysteries of the universe, and bam! This is what greets you. Cookie absent. This website requires cookies to function properly. Please enable cookies in your browser and try again. Honestly, it's incredibly ironic, right? The grand pursuit of human knowledge is suddenly and completely halted by the most mundane browser error message you can imagine. Before we can understand the cosmos or the building blocks of life, we have to clear our cache and check our tracking preferences. It's literally the ultimate modern gatekeeper, standing right there at the threshold of discovery.
Section 1. The Gateway to Science and the Branching Paths of Modern Research. Let's move past that digital roadblock for a second. Once the cookies are sorted out and the prompt is cleared, what exactly are we getting access to? Let's take a look at the vast ecosystem of knowledge sitting just behind that barrier.
The American Association for the Advancement of Science doesn't just offer one single monolithic science book anymore. You know, the era of the generalist scientist who studies a little bit of everything, that's largely a relic of the past. Right at the top of the portal, we immediately see a massive branching path of specialized research. We've got science advances, science immunology, science robotics, science signaling, and science translational medicine. This really highlights the sheer breadth and depth of what we call science today. I mean, we have brilliant minds dedicating their entire lives to the microscopic, cellular battles detailed in immunology, running entirely parallel to the mechanical and computational frontiers explored in robotics. Kind of makes you wonder, do the roboticists ever talk to the immunologists? The gateway isn't just a single door anymore, it's a massive hallway with incredibly distinct, hyper-specialized avenues of inquiry. Each of these disciplines has its own language, its own metrics, and its own breakthroughs, all housed under this one massive digital roof.
Section 2. Today's trending scientific priorities, or the zeitgeist of 2026. So, from those broad, sweeping branches of robotics and immunology, this digital artifact actually tells us exactly what is capturing the immediate attention of the scientific community right now.
Now, what's really fascinating here is how these 5 equal slices represent the mind share of current scientific priorities, pulled straight from the source's trending data. We have cancer, climate, artificial intelligence, postdoc, and aging. If you want to know what the scientific community of 2026 is frantically searching for, reading about, and prioritizing, well, this is it. These 5 terms represent the heavy hitters. You've got cancer and aging, which represent our fundamental biological struggle against our own mortality. You have climate, representing the massive external environmental threat to our entire species. And then artificial intelligence, representing the massive technological paradigm shift that's completely reshaping our society. These are absolutely the defining challenges of our current era, neatly categorized into equal portions of the collective scientific consciousness. But if we look just a little closer, there is a brilliant, almost hidden micro-narrative sitting right inside that exact list of trending terms. It's a really stark, fascinating contrast. On one hand, we have the immense, world-shifting existential threats of our time, battling the complexities of cancer, mitigating the global impact of climate change, navigating the technological explosion of AI, and decoding the fundamental mysteries of aging. Those are monumental, species-level challenges. But right there, sitting shoulder to shoulder in the exact same trending list, is the term postdoc. It perfectly and honestly, somewhat brutally, contrasts those massive-scale existential issues with the very grounded, highly competitive career reality of the people doing the actual work. You literally have researchers dedicating their lives to solving aging and climate change, while simultaneously just trying to find a postdoctoral job to pay their rent, secure their funding, and survive in that intense publish-or-perish academic culture. It beautifully grounds the grand, lofty concepts of science in the everyday human experience of the scientists themselves. Section 3. The Digital Access Barrier and the Gatekeepers of Knowledge. Okay, so we know what the specialized branches are, and we know exactly what massive topics are trending alongside everyday career anxieties. But how does a user actually interact with all this world-saving data? Let's shift our focus to the mechanics of digital publishing.
So the crucial point here is the stark contrast in the user experience of knowledge acquisition. On the one hand, we see the promise of free access. The portal proudly offers an award-winning daily newsletter with the latest news, commentary, and research free to your inbox. It's an open invitation. The summarization, the high-level takeaways, the digested commentary, that is all offered up freely to the masses. But contrast that with the restricted access guarding the actual deep scientific data. The moment you want to look at the raw research, the language on the portal immediately shifts. It becomes heavily transactional. You start seeing log in, become a member, and most notably my card. Knowledge at this highest, most rigorous level is entirely commodified. You literally have to put a scientific breakthrough, maybe a paper on a new cancer treatment or a climate mitigation strategy, into a digital shopping cart just to consume it. The raw data is locked tight behind a commercial paywall. And that is, of course, assuming you've already solved that cookie absent problem we started with. Section 4. Global Publishing Partnerships and Democratizing the Data. Let's zoom out now. We've looked at the individual user trying to bypass the shopping cart and access this specialized information. But what about the global scale?
And this brilliantly illustrates the dual nature of modern scientific publishing. On one side, we have the cold platform mechanics, the legal boilerplate required to run a digital fortress in today's internet. Things like the terms of service, privacy policy, accessibility standards, and cookie preferences. This is the architecture specifically built to protect and monetize the data. But right alongside that, the source proudly lists its global partners: Hinari, Agora, ORE, Chorus, Clocks, Crossref, and Counter. Now, this isn't just an alphabet soup of corporate acronyms. This is a massive network of global initiatives. It highlights a fascinating tension. While the platform mechanics exist to protect the data and utilize those shopping carts, these partners represent massive international attempts to distribute, archive, and democratize this very same research. Initiatives like Hinari and Agora are actively working to ensure that researchers in developing nations can bypass those paywalls and access the data they desperately need. It's an incredible tug of war between restriction and open access, happening right there in the fine print of the website.
Which leaves us with a critical thought to take away from this digital artifact. Over the course of this explainer, we've traced the deeply specialized branches of modern science, moving away from generalists into hyper-focused silos. We've seen massive existential topics like climate and cancer trending right alongside the everyday career anxieties of a postdoc just trying to find work. And we've seen a digital system built on shopping carts, tracking cookies, and restricted access that is simultaneously partnered with massive global democratization efforts trying to break those very barriers down. It's a complex, beautifully contradictory web of human endeavor. So, I leave you with this to ponder. In this modern pursuit of global knowledge, who truly holds the keys to the gateway?